So up till now we have heard in 6.9 favorable conditions for performing Dhyan Yoga. Now in 23 shlokas, the Lord will explain the process of Dhyan Yoga. So all the while we will not encourage you to do Dhyan Yoga, but certain principles of Dhyan Yoga which may be helpful for our bhakti will be utilized, and the shlokas will be mapped to bhakti. So the details of Dhyan Yoga won't be explained, so that should not be expected. Asampragyat, samadhi, and all those things, words will come in coming shlokas, that you don't expect any explanation. Prabhupada will map it to bhakti and will continue to do that in our discussion also. Please chant after me. Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 6, text number 10. Yogi yunjita satatam,
yogi yunjita satatam,
atmanam rahasi stitah,
atmanam rahasi stitah,
ekaki yat chittatma,
ekaki yat chittatma,
nirashir aparigrahah,
nirashir aparigrahah,
yogi yunjita satatam, atmanam rahasi stitah,
yogi yunjita satatam, atmanam rahasi stitah,
ekaki yat chittatma, nirashir aparigrahah,
ekaki yat chittatma, nirashir aparigrahah,
yogi yunjita satatam, atmanam rahasi stitah,
yogi yunjita satatam, atmanam rahasi stitah,
ekaki yat chittatma, nirashir aparigrahah,
ekaki yat chittatma, nirashir aparigrahah.
A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind and self in relationship with the Supreme. Have we just not that discussed in the Hindi class? Not even an iota of sense gratification. That's what is mentioned here. If we want deep realizations, our practice also has to be deep. Our commitment also has to be deep. See what Prabhupada is saying. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind and self in relationship with the Supreme. So do not be discouraged. The Lord is telling us the actual standard of yoga. Even if we are not at that platform, but we must know what that platform is. He should live alone in a secluded place. Obviously this refers to a Dhyan yogi, and should always carefully control his mind. The mind should not be allowed to meditate on sense objects. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. We will discuss these as we read the commentary. First we will read the Anvay. Yogi means a transcendentalist who wants to advance in yoga. Satatam, constantly. Sthita rahasi ekaki, staying in a secluded place alone. So this is actually referring to a Dhyan yogi. You cannot practice, or we cannot practice Dhyan yoga in city. That's out of question. So Dhyan yoga cannot be practiced in Noida or Delhi or any other city. One has to basically go in some very secluded place like Himalaya or something like that. Yata chittatma. Yata means to control. So chit and atma. So atma means body and chitta means mind. Yata chittatma means his body and mind control. The body is not engaged in sense gratification and mind is not engaged in sense gratification either. Nirashi aparigraha. Have you heard the word asha? Asha refers to hopes. And nirasha, nirashi, I think all of you are able to catch this point. Nirashi means without any hopes that this person will do good to me, or this hopes for basically sense gratification. Nirashi means giving up desires for sense gratification. Parigraha, Graha means to hold. Parigraha means to very nicely hold. Aparigraha means without any sense that things belong to me. Is this all understandable to our devotees? Okay. Parigraha. Pari means nicely. Graha means to hold. So, graha means to hold. Parigraha means to hold. Very nicely. Aparigraha means he is not holding. He may possess, he may have things, but not have a sense of possessiveness. That is a point we mentioned. Yes, without sense of belongingness. These things don't belong to me. Atmanam yunjita, by the body, mind and self. Atma can refer to self, means the soul. It can refer to body. It can refer to mind. So by all these three things, yunjita must concentrate in Krishna consciousness. Means he should he should engage his consciousness in Krishna consciousness. Gita Bhushan commentary. In 23 verses, the Lord now teaches the process of yoga with its angas. The Nishkam Karma Yogi should engage his mind, Atmanam, constantly in samadhi, sitting in a place without people or disturbing sounds, Rahasi Stitaha. Now we must understand how this progression has happened. A Nishkam Karma Yogi has performed Nishkam Karma Yoga, by which his heart has got purified of modes of passion and ignorance, and he has been situated in goodness. So now he has two options, either to perform Jnana Yoga or perform Dhyan Yoga. So now he is in a proper frame of mind where he can actually practice Dhyan Yoga, where he can actually stay alone. This is really nice. See, even when we do bhakti, there, after a while, you actually want to be alone. It's not that you constantly be surrounded with people who don't allow you to think of Krishna or read or hear. I think many devotees must be experiencing it. It's not that we don't associate with devotees. That is very important. But you also want to have your own time where you want to read, you want to hear, you want to chant japa. Is it not every day you are chanting japa on Zoom, but we don't want to be disturbed, is it not, at that time? We don't want to do whatever, management or anything, we don't want to. This is our private time with Krishna, where we actually want to focus on Krishna. Do you agree? I'm just mapping it to bhakti. There is some time where we want to be alone also, in a simple way. Give me my space. Use that one, give me my space. So, one devotee saying sometimes. Well, now it is sometimes, but after some time you will feel it is all the time. Yes, we want to come and associate with devotees, but it is not that we don't want to have our own time with Krishna also. No? Just simple. If not, then my dear devotee who just now mentioned this sometimes, why don't you try to chant japa tomorrow afternoon instead of morning? Morning is a better time to sleep. What is the answer? Okay, so the devotee is not answering anything, it's understood. Understood. Or what about chanting your essential japa in a marketplace? That will be really relishable, is it not? Dubeji, what do you think? Okay. Does counseling and preaching others and talking about Krishna to them is also spending time with Krishna? If we are talking about Krishna, yes. But in most of the time, we are talking about people in counseling, which is also part of helping out each other. Because they can, if we can help them to chant their rounds better, that's fine. Counseling is a very dangerous zone, which we must do. But we have to see that in that talk, are we only talking about mundane material things which will affect us also, or we are talking about Krishna? That you should judge. Personally, if a person is not ready to lift himself on his own, I don't really actually become interested. If you are not ready to help yourself, why should I don't, please mind your words. How can I? Basically, it's a waste of time. Some people are interested in telling you your problems, but not listening to the solutions. Have you experienced that? If you tell them you wake up in the morning, you chant Hare Krishna, that they won't do. They simply want to blah 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 tell the problems, so-called counseling, and they will not take the counseling. They will only disturb. So I don't really do that favor. Also, if you want to take some suggestion and do something about, that's fine. Have you experienced people like this? I have many times experienced. Focus on the solution. This disturbs. Personally speaking, after this class, I don't want to talk or message or get anything from anyone. If that is there, some devotees have understood and they don't disturb me. And for some devotees, I have to say D and D. Do not disturb. I am online because when I prepare, I have to refer to use some net thing also. It doesn't mean that I want to communicate and talk with people. One has to be conscious. One has to be conscious. Even afternoon, I am preparing some class. And just because I am online on Telegram does not mean I want to interact with people. It's just people don't understand. I might be preparing my class. And particularly in my interaction, sometimes I have to chastise devotees. You don't have to inform me if you have gone to bathroom. You understand? I went to this place, I went to that place. That you are not supposed to report to me. Are you able to understand these things? Every step you don't have to report. Anyhow, point, don't deflect it too much. The point is that person should have some time where you can actually think of Krishna. Alright, think of Krishna means read about it. It makes sense to you? I will tell you a very practical advice. Works very nicely for me. Buy a very small phone, which is not a smartphone, without any SIM. Use it as an alarm phone, and after the class, you just shut off your smartphone. Become smart and pick up a book of Prabhupada, then read it. Simple. You will be surprised. It actually makes you very peaceful. Actually, do it today and you will learn it. Yes, one devotee is saying, I do this. It's very good. I do it myself. This is really very super nice. You will see immediately how you become peaceful. This is mind blowing, but if you actually do it, actually you will feel peaceful. And you will see how we are reluctant to press that switch off button. Yes, this devotee also has said, I was just about to give you correction. Yesterday you slept at 11 p.m. or something. I don't know. Not good. Not good for a sadhaka. Being alone without even a second person there, his body and mind are devoid of activities unfavorable to yoga. Yoga chittatma. That means any action which is done with body and mind has to favor his mind towards Krishna. At least devotees should give up Facebook. One Krishna has given me one. I'm not. What is it? I'm not saying out of pride, but I never became interested in Facebook. It just never interested me at all. And people waste so much of their time with selfies and this and that. How you can practice your mind focusing on Krishna? This is because he is devoid of desires going elsewhere, being firmly fixed in detachment. Did you get this point? Asha means hope, that I'll do something that, or I'll eat that, I'll see that, and by that I'll get enjoyment. So he can stay like this because he has seen the world, he has seen the futility or the tastelessness of sense gratification. He has already purified his heart by Nishkam Karma Yoga. So he's not interested anymore to explore, quote unquote, explore the world. He can peacefully focus his mind on the Lord. He is devoid of any desire to accumulate. Aparigraha means normally again we accumulate for enjoyment, for thinking this. If I have more, I'll enjoy more and I'll be more happy. All this has gone away. Purport. Krishna is realized in different degrees as Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. What does this mean? It means serving Krishna with the motivation or simple motivation of attaining love for the Lord. At our practical level, one is that we already have love. Other option is that other level, which is our level, is that when we serve Krishna is not with the motivation to get something out of it except awakening our love for Lord. So this is called transcendental loving service to the Lord. But those who are attached to the impersonal Brahman or the localized super soul are also partially Krishna conscious, because the impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna and the super soul is the all pervading partial expansion of Krishna. So this is very easy. Just like sun has sunshine, Krishna has Krishna shine, which is called Brahman, which is called Brahmajyoti, which is the effulgence from his spiritual form. So some people meditate on it. Those who do Dhyan Yoga will attain Brahman realization. Why the super soul, who is also Vishnu, called partial expansion? Because Krishna as Paramatma does not reveal his full sweetness or his full opulences to the person who is meditating on Paramatma in his heart. Is that clear? Although he is Vishnu, but he does not, by his own volition, by his own will, he does not fully express. Why? Because the practitioner does not have bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Abhijanati, nicely knows. How? By bhakti. So only a person who has bhakti will fully realize Krishna. Paramatma Vadi does not have bhakti. He is focusing his mind on Krishna as Paramatma, but does not have a service attitude of pleasing Krishna. Is that okay? So that's why Krishna does not reveal. Okay. Further. Thus the impersonalist and the meditators are also indirectly Krishna conscious. A directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist, because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman and Paramatma. A person who is analyzing the sunlight, a person who knows the sun disk, but a person who goes inside the sun and meets the sun god has all these three understandings. Clear? His knowledge of the absolute truth is perfect, whereas the impersonalist and the meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. I think this is understood. Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in their particular pursuits, so that they may come to the highest perfection sooner or later. Now this is very interesting. Yogi yunjit satatam. A yogi should be constantly engaged. Which yogi? Jnana yogi yunjita satatam, Dhyan yogi yunjita satatam, Bhakti yogi yunjita satatam. Got it? No matter which yogi you are, if we want to gain perfection in our practice, we must always be engaged in yoga. That is the point being explained. Got it? Okay, fine. I'm just keeping the class fast so that you can pick up fast. Hopefully you are getting it. Okay. The first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. How that is possible? Well, very simple. Mind is flickering, but the greatest incapacity of the mind is that it can only go to the objects which it has experienced through hearing or seeing. So although it is flickering, it can only go to an object which he has seen or heard. So if we want to engage our mind always on Krishna, we have to focus it as far as possible at our level. We hear of Krishna and we can think of Krishna's form. This is very much easy, and that also hearing or reading, all those things are very, very important. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakurji was mentioning this point, that it's not sufficient to engage our working senses in Krishna's service. Hands and legs only. We must engage our knowledge acquiring senses also, and because that has a very deeper impression in our heart. Understood? Take. One should always think of Krishna and not forget him even for a moment. What does this mean? It means engaging activities which will help us to remember Krishna, and not engaging in activity which will make us forget Krishna. This is the point. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is called samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid disturbance by external objects. Now this seems to be very impractical for those devotees who are living in cities and like that. That is natural. Okay, but at least when we come back home, suppose you are working on a job, focus on your job in a detached spirit and then come back. If as a devotee I am aspiring to promote myself, or not only a devotee, as a yogi, I am aspiring to become more and more become more and more promoted in my job, and that goes against your yoga principles. We are not here to gain better jobs. Even if you are doing a job, obviously many people have to do a job. We are doing a job so that a body can be maintained. A body which has to be eaten by dogs. Always remember this point. No matter what body we have, it will be either eaten by dogs, burned by fire, eaten by insects, or these are three. So what kind of career we want in this dukhalayam ashashvatam? Think about this. Is it not? It's not that everybody will think, but our life is not guided by what everybody thinks or everyone else thinks. It's guided by what we think and how we act. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. Beautiful point. Again, it brings to my mind the words of Sanat Kumar. The highest obstacle or the greatest obstacle in our self-realization is to consider things, any other thing than our self-realization, to be more important than our self-realization. Got it? So now, if something is more important to me than my self-realization, I'll accept it even it is unfavorable. Okay? Difficult? समझ में आया? If my self-realization is less important than other things, I will accept those other things even if they are not favorable for my bhakti. So you please choose in your own life. I really love the statement of Lord Shri Krishna. If vimrashyate asheshena 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐎𝐶 katha kuru. You do vimarshan, what our knowledge has been given, you contemplate, and then you decide what you want to do. 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐎𝐶 katha kuru. Very nicely Lord is giving the instruction, the 18th chapter. So after hearing Bhagavad Gita, we think, and probably we don't want to think. That's why many people don't want to hear Bhagavad Gita. Oh, one devotee has just now come. Welcome. Very beautifully put by Gaur Gopal Prabhu. B, C, D. Between birth and death we make choices. So think about it. Obviously, what are the favorable and unfavorable things in bhakti? That's a big topic. You please read Updeshamrit, text number 2 and 3, and then decide. Very simple thing. Now it is night time, at least in here now. If suppose somebody gives you a pasta or some heavy stuff is there in your home, and you eat like surasa, you know surasa, wow, big mouth, wow, eat, then definitely you'll have very nice japa in the morning tomorrow, is it not? Yes, you will have a super japa in the morning tomorrow. Blissful japa. So every day when I eat up to this point, at night time, definitely it will improve my japa, is it not? So that, it will become Mahavishnu japa. Yeah, very sleepy. And some people may take years to understand this, that they are not supposed to eat in the night. They should actually, dinner should be by 5 p.m. and finish. You got benefit or not? See? And we may keep on saying, I cannot do this, you cannot do this. You don't do this for yourself. If you can do this, it will be for yourself. Simple, very simple. Anything, he should reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. Just simple that point that I will not criticize anyone. Just do it for a day and see what profound effect you have on your consciousness. This is tested. Just don't criticize people for one day. Even just one day, and see how profound effect it has on your bhakti. I am not saying that I am free from it. I just, on some, like now I am speaking more on Krishna Katha, I feel very supercharged because of that. Lesser chance for criticism or negative things. That's what Bhurijan Prabhu tells. Unthinkingly we criticize so many people. So if you keep your tongue engaged in Krishna Katha, then lesser chance that we will criticize anyone. Very powerful statement. Very powerful. Prajalpa. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by feelings of possessiveness. This is a beautiful line. Have you not noticed that we buy many things on impulse, and then that thing we might not use for months together, but we don't want to give it up because it belongs to me. Got it? So the more we aggrandize, the more we have that conception that things belong to me, although nothing belongs to us. So unnecessary accumulation of things is impeding our bhakti. Try to pick it up. Unnecessary thing, that means something which is necessary for your bhakti can be accepted, but not that you have to accept so many things. Got it? Have you not experienced that if you have so many dresses, every dress speaks, you have not worn me since so many days. Why, when will you wear me? Is it not? Yes. Yes, yes. All these things are realized knowledge. So, as a yogi, Prabhuji, we have such a nice good salary. Why can't we have another 10th dress? I only have 9 one, which are not that bad, but still I have a salary. Is it not? I have full right. Yes, we have a full right to be disturbed in our mind. So go ahead. These are all very subtle things. His Holiness Kadam Kanad Maharaj said, see your room and see what things you have not used since 6 months. Most probably you won't use them in your life. Throw them out. All these perfections and precautions are perfectly executed when one is directly in Krishna consciousness, because direct Krishna consciousness means self-abnegation, wherein there is very little chance for material possessiveness. Beautifully put by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami characterizes Krishna consciousness this way. So Prabhupada is saying in Krishna consciousness, automatically a devotee accepts those things which are favorable for his bhakti. So there is no question of material possessiveness, because he knows everything belongs to Krishna anyhow. So what I can possess? Please chant after me. This is a very important sloka. Anasaktasya vishaya.
Anasaktasya vishaya.
Yathaharam upayunjataha.
Yathaharam upayunjataha.
Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe.
Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe.
Yuktam vairagyam uchyate.
Yuktam vairagyam uchyate.
Prapanchikitaya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna.
Prapanchikitaya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna.
Mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam phalgu kathyate.
Mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam phalgu kathyate.
Please understand the Sanskrit. Anasaktasya vishyan, not being attached to sense gratification or the objects of sense gratification. Yathaharam upayunjataha, he accepts as much they deserve to be accepted. Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, with the intention that it is in relationship with Krishna. Yuktam vairagyam uchyate, that person is called yukta vairagi. That means he is not attached to the objects per se, but he accepts them with the understanding that they are used for Krishna. The example is a brahmachari may be very attached to his laptop, but he is not attached to the laptop. He is attached to the service which he will actually offer to Krishna through the laptop. It's just only one example. You can take many examples. Makes sense? So you cannot say, oh, you are a brahmachari or a whatever, and why are you taking so much care of the laptop? It should not be broken and all those things. Make sense to you? I'm just giving one example. Or, we have so many things to take care by which we can preach. It's not that we don't take care of things, but we are not attached to the things per se, but we are attached to serving Krishna nicely through those things. Is that okay? So even if we have those objects, we take care of them also, but not with a sense that they belong to us for my sense gratification. Is that okay? Fine. Prapanchikitaya buddhya. if a person has this intelligence that this object is prapanchik, that means belong to material energy and it is matter, what Hari Sambandhi Vastuna, some Vastu, some object which has a relationship with Hari, Mokshubhi, he wants to be liberated, and that's why he Parityago, he gives up that object, then Vairagyam Phalgu Katyate. Then that Vairag is Phalgu or external or useless. Sometimes to demonstrate it, a devotee has a better picture where a person is trying to climb the wall although the ladder is there. Now you got it? The ladder is there. No, I will give up the ladder. But he wants to climb up the wall. He wants to be liberated. But he thinks that things which he will use for Krishna's service, they are material. Even his own body. Got it? It's not that I have to go and preach and I'll say, I will not use a car to go. Car is matter. But I have given up car. But the car never belonged to you. So you have to give up the conception of possessor. Fine. Are you all with me? Am I going too fast or you're able to pick up? Fine. Good. We are good. When one is not attached to anything but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. Please check if you have tongues. Yes, you don't have to show. You have tongues. So you cannot have to cut the tongue or keep the tongue chup. Keep quiet. No, you speak about Krishna. Hear this. Snake is also quiet, but doesn't mean it becomes liberated. Very nicely put. These people, especially the Mayavadis, they want to keep quiet. They usualize keeping quiet as like anything. When a person has knowledge, he does not speak anything. Well, the answer is why you are speaking this thing. You know that? They say like this. All these people are speaking because they are not actually situated in transcendence. Once they are situated in transcendence, they will realize nothing is there to speak much. Shant. That is their conception of liberation. But Prabhupada explains that when a devotee actually realizes Krishna's glories, he thinks 24 hours are less for speaking about Krishna. Got it? So he is not attached to his tongue. He is attached to serving Krishna through his tongue. I think this is very clear now. We go ahead. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and thus he is always free from feelings of personal possession. This is very easy. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. One thing I wanted to say. All these things will develop if we chant Hare Krishna nicely. We hear, but when we chant Harinam nicely, as the heart gets purified, this natural enthusiasm to serve Krishna with all our might naturally springs up in our heart. Is that statement understood? Yes. If we chant nicely, the ulterior motivations disappear automatically. And you will yourself see your own enthusiasm to serve Krishna with your all in energy actually manifest. Although you may or may not be always able to serve, but you will see that this actually happens in your heart. I want to serve Krishna in some way. Like one devotee had some health issue, and that devotee told me, I said, take rest. That devotee, I can't just look at the walls all day. That was funny comment. Yes, I must do some service for Krishna. So that's a fact. If you chant Hare Krishna nicely, you will actually want to do some service for Krishna. And at the end of the day, you will always feel, I have not done anything substantial. Although outside people will say, this fellow is not doing anything except serving Krishna, but in your own heart, magically you will feel, I have not done anything for Krishna. क्या किया? तो बहुत कुछ करना बाकी है. This is very nice. You become humble. Actually, when you feel, I have not done much for Krishna, then you actually become humble or not. And you will also feel, others are doing a lot, I am not doing anything. This is the whole amazing effect of spiritual energy. So this has a link with your Hare Krishna mantra. where we are now. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness because of sense control. He is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental and is always alone, having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. So what Prabhupada is translating very nicely, staying alone does not really mean always staying alone. I'm using the word always, but it means staying in association of devotees and serving Krishna. Okay. Therefore, person in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi. So you have easily seen how Srila Prabhupada has mapped everything to bhakti, not to Dhyan Yoga per se, but that's what makes sense to us. Any questions? I think you got the message of the shloka. So just one time you will again chant it. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi stitah ekaki 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐎𝐒 nirashir aparigraha. A yogi must constantly engage himself. Atmanam rahasi stitah. He should situate himself alone. That means not in a place where people will disturb his consciousness. And yatachittatma, he should control his mind and body. Nirashir, he should not have any hopes for material prospects. And aparigraha, he should be free from feelings of proprietorship. Okay, so this is how we can practice Dhyan Yoga. If we don't want to criticize people, we can assume that they can read our thoughts. This technique helps. I don't know. One thing is very sure, if you meet a person and if you are thinking good about them, they can understand that. What do you think? If you meet a person, simply by his eyes, you can understand that he likes you. Everyone knows, right? Simply by, I cannot do that. I just don't know how to do that. But that glance, the grana glance, that hate glance doesn't really come. But some people like really hate you, that simply by their eyes you can see. But one nice thing which my Guru Maharaj very nicely puts it, if you are looking at the good of others, will you not be happy because you're surrounded by good people? And if you're only focusing on their faults, you will be miserable because they are not going to change, but you're all around surrounded by people who are really, really bad, you know. This person, this fellow, you see, look at his beard, you know, it must be very much. Anything you can, finding fault, anything, you can just pick up anything without knowing anything and we can make up whole story. So the root is chanting Hare Krishna mantra. You chant Hare Krishna nicely, you see all the transformation will happen. Okay, are there any questions? Some people just smile with their eyes. Oh, what a statement. Yes. Okay, so we shall stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.